Reading into the economics of the aviation industry could be quite a hard one. But it just got simpler if you've happened to tune onto the Aviation Blueprint with me, Olivia Nakalembe. I told you we speak to the big names. Today, I get to speak to Alan Muhimbo, boasting of over 18 years in Uganda's aviation sector, and he is an aviation expert.
I started off school in the small nursery school. I'm one of the few people of my generation who went to nursery school.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
In Porto or in
No,
Kampala?
here. I was born in Mulago Hospital. At around 3 years, I went to Makinon Nursery School, which was one of the best at that time. Yeah, because my father was in the middle class. He was a hotel manager and managing Fairway Hotel at that time. All through, I studied in Kampala until university. At the university, I did a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Statistics. And right from the time I graduated, that was 1997, I spent some time, 2 years I think, teaching economics and mathematics. And because I understood the nitty-gritty of economics as a subject and mathematics, I wanted to push out this information.
So in other words, at the time, you were just a statistics student or scholar, probably.
I was an undergraduate of statistics and economics. Then after 2 years, I joined the bank. I worked with Centenary Bank and DFCU.
Still doing numbers?
Slightly different, but numbers would come in. Yeah, I always define myself as someone who is good at writing stories out of numbers. You give me numbers in every field, I'll come up with a story describing what is happening, whether business, whether a scenario, whether the budget. I always have this desire to write stories out of numbers. Now, I love numbers. I am more in love with the numbers. Even at my age, I am very swift with the numbers. I can calculate very fast. If you have a calculator and I'm using my head, I will calculate faster. That aside, I went into banking. Then after 6 years in banking, I decided to go into consultancy. I wanted to do my own things. It was during this time that I met a consulting partner who was an HR person, who suggested to me that I could join an airline, an upcoming airline, and that was Air Uganda. That was in 2007. This lady hurried up things for me, invited me for an interview, went and met the panel, and if the interview is good, I rarely don't fail interviews. And when I was there, I got the job, and immediately I was sent to Italy to do an aviation training. And I spent 3 months in Italy in a place called Olibia. Now, Olibia is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. And when you wake up in the hotel or in the house where you were, and you see everywhere you are surrounded by water. So I was there for 3 months. So I moved in a number of places, Venice, Milan, when I was there, to go and get an experience of how flights operate. And during that time, I mainly engaged in the commercial section. I did marketing, I did the sales, I moved out with the sales teams, I did the pricing, airline pricing, and I did a lot of analysis. I would look at figures and deduce how this airline was operating. The airline I did my training with was Fly Meridiana. Then after 3 months, I came back. I took up a role of being a marketing executive with Air Uganda. Now, after some time, they realized my desire and gifting in numbers a post was created of a marketing analyst, and they said we have no other person to fill that post. Let's get Alan to do that.
Okay.
So I became the marketing analyst. So I always define myself as the guinea pig of Uganda, of Air Uganda. I would be sent to these stations before to study,
To test
and see what is happening, where is the opportunity, how do we go about it. Then
how do we penetrate?
How do we penetrate? I would visit the travel market in that country, but the network was small. We looked at Tanzania, we looked at Kenya, we looked at Southern Sudan, and the last one that I did, I had done a study in the Congo. And when the airline finally kicked off, I was responsible for managing the GSAs. There is, in the airline language, is what we call the GSAs. The GSA is a franchise holder of the airline. Air Uganda has the a strategy of using GSAs.
What is GSA?
The GSA in full, this is a general sales agency. A general sales agency manages the business or a franchise or that airline in that particular market. So we had the GSA in Dar es Salaam, we had the GSA in Kilimanjaro, we had a GSA in Juba, and they would run the show, and would have 1 or 2 staff on the ground at the airport and in the office, but the rest of the business was run by this agency. Then after Air Uganda, I moved on to Qatar Airways.
Okay.
Qatar Airways, when they looked at my CV and interviewed me, they said, no, this gentleman can work as a sales support agent. Now, under sales support, I did inside sales. Inside sales included the selling online. I was in charge of the e-commerce page of Qatar Airways. I was in charge of pricing. I was in charge of marketing. I was in charge of analysis. Monday was a very busy day for me in the morning. I would do a presentation every morning, and I would speak about the general terrain of the aviation industry, how our airline was being juxtapositioned with the rest of the market, and how we would embark in penetrating the market, the travel trade that week. This was my responsibility. An opportunity came up. Fly Dubai came into the market, and they needed a sales manager. Now, I took a very daring step of moving from a sales support agent to a sales manager, because the sales manager, you are in effect the head of the station.
Indeed.
You are managing now not only yourself, but also managing the whole commercial team. You have a reservation team, you have a sales team, you have an airport team. So I worked for Fly Dubai. Much of the time I was in charge of the station, because my immediate boss, who was the country manager, was sitting in Dar es Salaam most of the time. So in Uganda, I was the guy who was doing everything. And one interesting thing is that I managed to bring Fly Dubai from 3 weekly flights when we began to 10 weekly flights by the time I left in 2021. Again, an opportunity came up. This time I was headhunted by Air Arabia. Air Arabia took me on, and Air Arabia also had 3 flights when they started in 2021. And by the time I left, they had gone to 10 flights.
What do you mean by 3 flights?
Now,
in here, out of here.
The flight, you see,
side.
Okay, this is what happens. When an airline comes here, they come from their hub. For example, Fly Dubai, the hub was in Dubai, Terminal 2. So they started flights to Entebbe. So they would do those flights 3 times a week. Now, depending on how business was growing, they would increase the flights.
So from the other side, from their hub to Uganda?
Yes. Okay. Now, if they come here 3 times, that means they will also leave 3 times. So they have 3 weekly flights. And by the time I left Fly Dubai, we had 10 weekly flights.
How did you make sure of that?
How I achieved this?
Yes.
Now, this is where the experience part of it comes in. It was during this time that I realized I had a hidden talent of building relationships. Building relationships, but also understanding, having a niche for opportunity, a desire for opportunity. I would look at the opportunity and know that this is what I have as an airline, as a company, which is out to make profits. These are the destinations that I have. This is what I can offer. Now, this is what I'm going out to get. I want to give a disclaimer here. Anyone pursuing aviation, not everyone outside there is your client. Every airline has a client.
Targeted clients.
It's targeted client. So when I was in Fly Dubai, I have to admit, and I think this is the first time I'm admitting it, I created a whole new segment of clientele.
Okay.
These were people who formerly had only one option of going to Dubai. That is with Emirates.
Okay.
Emirates was very expensive
Yeah.
and a high-end product.
Still is a bit.
And even now it is still expensive. Now, I noticed that there was a group of people who would want to go to Dubai but did not have the finances to use Emirates. So this led me to discover one thing in aviation, that in aviation we have two types of passengers. There is a comfort-prone passenger
Business class. Da, 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 da.
who wants all the freebies.
I know.
And there is a cost-prone passenger.
True.
The one who would tell me that even if you put a bus, I would travel to Dubai.
True.
Now, those are the ones I went for, because Fly Dubai was a low-cost carrier, not a legacy carrier. So
I think it is still up to now.
it is,
Yes.
but I'll come to that and tell you that many of what you call low-cost today have become what we term as hybrid. Because to survive in a market like this, you need to keep adjusting your product towards the needs and desires of the client. And when you adjust, you have to seed away some of the characteristics of the traditional low-cost carrier.
True.
And start borrowing some of the characteristics of a legacy carrier. So you become a hybrid carrier. For example, with many low-cost carriers, meals are not part of the ticket value. Now, if you go to Fly Dubai today, all the tickets that are sold have meals inclusive. That was something that I worked on tirelessly. It was a pain, but I was doing this under the desire of serving my client and winning over market share. So when I shifted to Air Arabia, I was faced with a challenge of winning over the same clientele I had taken to Fly
Other
Dubai.
side.
Now, the airline I'm always very straightforward. I didn't want the other airline to collapse because I had left. Because I don't believe that there's only one airline who was created in the world.
True.
There are many people who are gifted, who can do what I can do, and even better. So I went to Fly Dubai, I remember one day, and I told them, I will only take a customer who complains to me that you're not serving them. I'm not going to fight to take over from you, because I don't want you to collapse. Because I put in a lot of my energy. So this I did. Again, in Air Arabia, astonishingly, I built a completely new clientele that I did not have in Fly Dubai. Because when you're out there doing a job, there are two things. One, you want to add value to the employer. Then secondly, you want to prove yourself. Can I do this? Can I achieve this? What do I have under my docket? A day when I have not brought in business, I would wish if I would talk to the person who pays my salary, tell them that today cut it off. That is me. If I have not added value, I shouldn't take a salary for that day.
Wow.
So that I worked with Air Arabia also from 3 flights to 10 flights by the time I left. Yeah, and I worked with Air Arabia up to 2023 when I left.
For now, let's go for a very short commercial break. And when we return, we now want to get into how Alan got on top of his game, where he saw the opportunities, the challenges that he went through, and anything else, surrounding that. Are there any challenges, that came through along the way? What are those things that opened up your mind, that kept you thinking twice? Coming through as a hurdle, but then at the end of the day, you had to navigate them.
When I joined aviation, I discovered that I had landed on the love of my life career-wise. That's one thing I discovered.
Okay.
I would have long nights of doing research, doing reports, and doing all sorts of things. But one thing that would keep me going was that it was not only about the job, but about the love for the job.
So in other words, passion has to be
Passion.
there. Is it part and parcel?
Passion. You can't do away with passion. The passion that I have for aviation is in the skies. But again, apart from passion, I always have this desire to help people with what I have. And this is one of my aspirations in life, that I would look at the aviation industry and see how much I have learned and how much I have under my docket. And I feel bad that if one day I moved or went to be with the Lord or decided to go and do some other thing, I will go with all this knowledge, which is not fair. I will not be fair to Uganda. I will not be fair to the travel industry. One of the biggest challenges that I had was that after Air Uganda, all the other airlines I worked for were foreign airlines. The way these people work, they want to source for the best in us.
Cream de la cream.
The cream de la cream. And when they know, word will go around. I remember there is a show that takes place, the Arabian market, travel market. Yeah? It takes place almost every year in Dubai. And when I would be there, every airline would talk to me, why don't you come and
Work with us.
why don't you come and work with us? Why don't you come and work with us? But I'm this kind of person, when I'm committed to one thing, one direction, I want to be with that until otherwise. Now, because these airlines were foreign, the issue of nepotism in the world will never cease to happen.
No.
That one, I'm sorry, but I have to say it.
I mean,
Leave alone Uganda.
The audience has to know about
Leave alone
this.
Uganda, but outside, when I would be there are the times when I would be on the flight like three times in
In a week,
a quarter of and people would say, you are on the flight, you are doing well, but you are going out to be segregated against.
Can you just help me cite some of the examples of, like, say, nepotism that usually present themselves while you are at your career?
I remember a particular time in one of the airlines, we went to the head office and we were discussing on how to capture market. And one of the issues we were looking at was the pricing. And the ideas that I was giving, I was trying to explain how pricing impacts on the customer on the ground in my point of sale, which is Uganda.
Sure.
And someone from a certain Eastern European country clearly shut me down and said that is nonsense. And from the way he was speaking to me, it was not that he was speaking to Alan the person. He was speaking at Alan
Africa,
from the black man from somewhere. And
but here you are sharing actually a table.
Yes,
with them.
yeah. I'm telling them that, you see, these are the issues. This is where the problem is. If you are setting a price in Warsaw, say for example, you don't set the conditions that determine you to set a price in Warsaw are not the same conditions that determine you to set a price in Uganda.
In other words, it had to be all encompassing.
It has to be all encompassing in consideration of the person who's going to buy the air ticket.
Surely.
Number one. Number two, the middleman, the travel agent, who is going to sell, because the Ugandan market is in such a way that Up to now, we cannot do away with the travel
Exactly, the travel agent.
the travel agent. Because I can give you a few statistics. Up to this year, 69% of the airline sales are done by travel agents.
Trust me, I have not done any of that work myself.
Yes.
I just need to go get my papers when everything is done.
Yes.
I don't want to go there, begin the hustle, bustle. No.
The travel agent is still doing 69%, and that has underlying conditions. Underlying condition number one, the Ugandan market is not, the credit cards have not penetrated greatly. The last time I did a research, active credit cards in Uganda were less than 10,000. That was sometime around 2018. Active credit cards. Now, in a market like South Africa, you find that the sales from the online sales through credit cards contribute almost 70% of the sales. Now, for starters, you're already at different wavelength. So the way you deal with the market in Uganda is not the same way you deal with the market in Johannesburg. The way you pass over information in Uganda is not the way you pass over information in Johannesburg.
Exactly, because the audiences are different.
Yes, these are the underlying nitty-gritties that someone will not understand seated somewhere in Dubai, seated somewhere in Doha, seated somewhere in Sharjah. They wouldn't understand this. But me who walks the streets of Kampala,
who has been here,
yes. I understand. You put out a promotion, many of us, even reading our emails is still a challenge. So you put out a promotion and 2 days down the road, some people have not seen it. But at the they want, even when they see, they have to get a second opinion.
They have to get someone to second.
So say, yes, that is okay. Now, you can't put out, we used to have general sales, GSP, general sales all over the world, and you're giving it 3 days. But we are marketing 2 days, and I cannot be able to sell the 3rd day because of the nature of my people. We went down and said a general sales period of 3 days is not palatable for us. Give us 5 days at least, because of the nature of our market. Some people who are buying air tickets are coming from Hoima, are coming from Koboko, are coming from Karamoja, where network, even online, is a problem. Right. You will send an email, you send even WhatsApp, and they will not see it. Then they will see it when it has even expired. This is where the word passion is coming out very tall, that you need to have the love for your country. Because I will tell you for a fact, I was so hurt one day. I went back to my room. I was in a place called Arjman in the UAE. When I went to market Uganda as a destination, to the travel agencies there, and some people didn't know the difference between Kampala and Nairobi. They didn't know that these were in 2 different countries. Now, that is how far we are from winning over the tourism market of the world. The first thing I did when I came back to Kampala was to connect with the Uganda Tourism Board. I'm sorry, Uganda Tourism Board, but this I'm going to say. I called Uganda Tourism Board. I said, how come these people do not know about us?
Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Now do this for me. Get me some write-ups, because I don't want to write them on my own. PowerPoint write-ups. I still have them with me. And I tried to send them all over to places in UAE. I sent them to India. I sent them to Eastern Europe. Now, bureaucracy is also there at the international level. You write a proposal and say, the people in Uganda, the market in Uganda, this is their desire. For example, when I was in Flight Dubai, I said, my Ugandan colleagues, my Ugandan countrymen and countrywomen love their food. So selling
Better
a
put
ticket,
it on
yes,
another package.
selling a ticket without a meal is unheard of. You are the most rude person the world has heard of. You can't get, they say you are causing us to be hungry on your flight. So now that proposal, I remember I started pursuing it in March of 2018. No, it was September 2017. And I finally got a breakthrough in September of 2018, a whole year. Now, the other challenge was the institutional framework, where you have the likes of the bar, you have the likes of UTB that I've mentioned, you have the likes of civil aviation, you have the likes of the airport authorities. Now, all those institutional frameworks have their challenges. Sometimes I would be running up and down in the market and they call you say, you know what, half of your flight has been offloaded. All the people are down. So you have to find out what is it. You have to jump on a vehicle, run to Entebbe. Now these things are things you're not going to tell your boss that you see now I'm going to Entebbe, the flight has been offloaded, everyone has been offloaded. You go handle that problem. Those are operational issues. What they want is the flight full. If they are not, if there is a relationship problem, you manager that is on the ground, you have to have the ability to deal with it. If there is malice, you have to deal with it. You have to know where it's coming from and you have to deal with it. So these are the challenges that I dealt with for the last 8 years. Day to day, one of them would come. Then the last one that I can mention, many of us, okay, I will talk about myself as a Ugandan station head. You always had a regional station head who was not a Ugandan and who always was fighting you quietly, indirectly. He does not want supremacy from you.
Is that related to like office politics or something like that?
Now, the office politics comes in, but it is office politics at another level.
Okay.
Those people who watch football, that is office level at La Liga level. La Liga level now. The office politics whereby a reservation agent is cutting the ground below you, that is at Premier League level. At La Liga level, your boss is fighting you. Why is a Ugandan there?
Is it on grounds of performance? Like,
No.
say, for example, you're performing better
No. It is on the grounds of your color and where you come from.
racism. Right?
Racism. So that is also there. The only time I can say I had a foreign a manager whom I was reporting to and was good. The gentleman was a Kenyan. That gentleman, wherever he is, God bless you, Prit Kibole. Kibole, Prit. He was the best man I have seen. He would call you, advise you, and even draw a growth plan for you and say, no, now do this. It will help you 3 years from now.
If these are problems that you have been dealing with on a daily, you now know who to speak to, you now know who to call, you now know at least, how to go about some of these problems. The conversation is still definitely ongoing, and this is still your one and only aviation show, the Aviation Blueprint, with me, Olivia Nakalembe. How about we take a sip of water and return with the one and only Alan Muhimbo right here. We are back with the one and only Alan Muhimbo, our aviation expert of the day. And he's been walking us through his career journey up until where we are now. He really didn't have a background, in this particular sector. He was just a man of numbers.
One thing I will say is the aviation sector or industry in Uganda is still very young and has a lot of potential. The only undoing is we, the players, have not dug into the potential. Tourism is a cake that we need to look at. The question is, how much of Uganda's tourism have we enhanced, and do we know, and are we able to portray out there? You will find that much of the potential of Uganda is not known abroad. The bird sanctuary, for example, down in the southwest. Very many people, I was telling people in Dubai that do you know that we have more than 3/4 of all the bird species of the world in Uganda? I said, what? They didn't know. That is where we are lacking the institutional framework to put Uganda out there. The institutional framework, please, whoever is in charge of marketing Uganda, do it right. If you don't know, some of us are even not looking for your money. We want our country to be out there. River Nile alone can bring in half the budget of Uganda in a year. Every year we have the religious pilgrimage. How about if we merged it with the tourist packages? How about if we put accommodation facilities to as low as tents for people after the pilgrimage would want to visit, to go and look at other tourist attractions in the country? By the way, have we looked at the other tourist potentials, the historical sites, Bigo bya Mugenyi, Mabereganya na Mwiru, the Sipi Falls? Is someone taking this into account? We are now talking about aviation. Aviation, me, I don't consider it as a backward linkage, it's a forward linkage to tourism.
True.
Taking tourism the other step further. Now, even in the travel agencies, we're having a problem with human resource. It explains the high turnover. Human resource is a big challenge in this country. The times I've been in the aviation industry, people thought I was being paid so much because I work till 9. Why? Because if I have to think for this organization, when everyone has gone home, when I'm not getting queries from people, the office is closed, I can sit and think. That said and done. About the issue we talked about, I took a self-made trip to Dubai and went purposely to market my country. Why? By then I was working with the Air Arabia. My intention was I wanted to mobilize people from there to come and see Uganda, market Uganda, but then in turn, give me business on Air Arabia. And the astonishing bit is that those people even don't know about Uganda. And I was mobilizing them. Actually, by the time I left Arabia, I was planning what is called a familiarization trip.
Yeah.
About 20 or 30 agents come down here, move around Uganda, see what Uganda is, get booklets and what have you, go back and sell this nation. One thing that we need to see, the gap that we have partially closed, is reinventing the wheel and bring back our national career. But again, the choice,
Kudos.
yes, that is good. But the choice of destinations where we are flying also has a lot that is left. When we are designing routes for aviation, we look at the usefulness, the pertinence of that destination to the Ugandan population.
So, Mr. Muhimba, are you trying to say our priorities are misplaced when it comes to routing?
Yes, yeah, they are misplaced. Because what do we get from what can someone tell us what trade volume is there between Uganda and Zambia, Uganda and Nigeria?
I was going to say Nigeria because I attended that.
And then you open 2 stations in Nigeria, and then open Lusaka and also open Harare. Now that is complete wastage.
Where would you have put?
I would go for Cairo.
Yes.
I'll go for Cairo.
There is trade there.
There is trade, one.
Trade.
2, for the benefit of the airline. Now let me just put it at the airline. There is a lot of tourism that goes
in Cairo that could be extended into Uganda.
That even the market in Uganda would want to buy Cairo as a destination. Now, Cairo as a destination is one way There are Christians here who always want to go to Israel. That is one place. That is something that has not been explored deeply. Now, you go to India, and of all places, you go to Bombay. Bombay is the ginger, a city that has weighed off,
kind of
died. Why don't you go to a place like Bangalore, where there is medical tourism? People who are sick want to go there for treatment. These are things that we should do before we open a station. We need to read through.
Any other opportunities or gaps that you still see in our aviation industry?
The other opportunity that is there is a product in the aviation industry that we call offline sales.
Okay.
Offline sales is you can market a destination where you don't fly by developing a relationship with another airline which flies there. Okay. I'll give an example. You're flying to South Africa, you're flying to Joburg. Instead of opening another station in South Africa, yet I know that I have few aeroplanes, I would rather do an offline sale, an offline connection to Cape Town from Johannesburg with a domestic carrier, such that I merge a fare that I can sell Cape Town, I can sell Durban, I can sell Gaborone without having to fly there directly.
Some other thing that has actually crossed my mind is, or question, do you see potential when it comes to our domestic, the domestic aviation sector in terms of the domestic flights?
Yes, but not with the current fleet that we have. The fleet needs to be commensurate with the domestic destinations. What is your longest destination that you have? Arua. I think Arua is around 600 kilometers from here. Something around.
How about Kidepo? Because it's
Kidepo. Okay. Now,
Kihiki,
you have
really like to the extremes.
We are mainly looking outside, but leaving the market internal. The Ugandan population, the middle class has grown. Sure. The figures tell us that now we are a middle income nation with a per capita income of more than $1,000.
Sure.
Now, if the per capita income is more than $1,000, then that means that person can afford a ticket of $200 in what? In a year. Now, why don't you get smaller carriers, carrying like 20, 30 people to do these domestic flights? Why do you have to have these buses doing there are people who can afford that. There are people who can afford that. And when you have mastered the domestic market, then this domestic market will be en route to the regional and the long haul routes. I went to Thailand the other day. Do you know Thailand? Uganda Tourism, the Thailand Tourism Board has set up an office in Dubai and another office in London. So if you want any query and you are in London or you are in Dubai, you don't have to go to Thailand or you don't have to contact Thailand. Which offices do we have that are doing this overseas? If those offices, okay, the last I had, they had the Dubai and London. Most likely now they have the US somewhere else. Where is ours? If even this one locally is hard to access. Anyway, I'm sorry.
This conversation only keeps getting hotter and hotter by the minute. Mr. Mhimbo has done a very good job in terms of opening our eyes. And I hope all the key stakeholders along Uganda's aviation sector have picked a thing or two